YouTube, Devin here again. I have a special guest today, and we're going to be having her review some American helmets from throughout history to see what she likes, what she thinks about them. You might already be familiar with her if you are a part of my Patreon and a part of my Discord from my Day in the Life of a Cat Named Olives series.
Oh!
Yep, so all that stuff was, this is her cat that I watched for forever while she was away at training, and this video's been months in the making. So we're gonna talk about some American helmets here, because you have experience with exactly one.
Yes.
One American helmet, and it's this one right here. All right, so it is the ACH helmet. It stands for the Advanced Combat Helmet. Do you know anything about it? What you like about it? What it's made out of? You know anything about that? Any features you did like? What you didn't like? I know the one you got issued was probably not the correct size.
No, it wasn't. Well, as a female with a lot of hair, I think one of my least favorite things is we had to have our hair in a bun all the time. We couldn't do the ponytail even though it's authorized. And this sucks with the bun because it gets caught. But then to counterbalance the bun, I also have glasses, and so doing a lot of things tactically was a mess, like trying to shoot when you're laying down and your bun is keeping your head from going as far back as you want, and then your ACH is sliding your glasses or your eye pro down. So I have a lot of negative experiences with it. It's also very heavy. So especially when we did our rucks where we were wearing these, your neck starts to get sore, as well as everything else.
Thinks that it's heavy. Thinks that it's heavy. It's pretty light in the grand scheme of helmets.
It's still kind of heavy.
It's still kind of heavy, for sure. It's not used to it. The average human hand weighs about 10 pounds, and you're usually adding about 50% more weight on top of that. Your neck is just not used to it at first, which is how a lot of helmets are. And what you talked about having a big negative is rocking forward, as we call it. And it's a big problem that a lot of modern combat helmets have, because you need the coverage, obviously, to protect the important parts of your head. And you lower upper spine and stuff like that. So you get this rocking forward motion because the skirt on the back of the helmet will hit your body armor or your rucksack, or in your case, your hair, and push it forward in front of your eyes.
Yes.
Which is actually a big problem that they wrote about in combat with the helmet that is before this one, the helmet that is after one. It's still a present problem, but it's not deemed bad enough to warrant really fixing it, unfortunately. I know, and it's been a thing for over 100 years in helmet technology and design, because you have to... At what point are you sacrificing coverage for, ease of use? And then at what point does it become worthless? That your helmet is just so short and not covering so much that why bother wearing it? Mm-hmm. So that seems to be a happy medium. It goes all the way back to like a German design in World War I, the 1916 Stahlhelm. This is still basically a recut down version of that in modern materials, reshaped. It can trace its way all the way back to that. But... So you don't like the ACH, basically, right? So
not really, but...
Okay. Fair.
Does anyone like it?
It's actually a really, really good helmet. So, like, being, in the Canadian military, a lot of guys would steal or private purchase those, because it's better than what we had, the CG634, which just adjusts randomly, because it has tension buckles, and it's a dumpster fire. But it's cool. And I actually took one behind the camera there and converted it to be like an ACH by putting pads and stuff in it, so it doesn't suck. Because they're bad. So you say it's bad, but it's better than a lot of other stuff. And we'll get to what most people are wearing today, actually. So now I'll take that back from you. You don't like the ACH. Okay, good. I don't really like it either.
It could be worse, but it's not awesome.
So now we're going to go back to the beginning. This was basically the North American head protection at 1917, basically. This is what America was wearing for head protection in the Army until World War I, where they would basically be given British helmets, and then they would start making them themselves. So, what do you think about that? Do you feel real safe wearing one of those?
Not real safe wearing one.
So, but this is before body armor. This is where everyone's basically wearing a cotton shirt, a felt hat.
Oh, this is huge on me.
It's big, yeah. Well, it's meant to have winter stuff worn under it, so you got to oversize it. It's not like the U.S. ones, which are for show now. That's still a practical one. That's actually a Mountie hat, a legit Mountie hat. So, but that's what they had, and that was your form of head protection. And before this, a lot of countries were wearing like boiled leather helmets and stuff like that. So all it was really meant to do is keep the weather off of you, keep the sun out of your eyes, keep, dirt off your hair, keep water from getting all over you, stuff like that. They would deform and misshape, and you'd have to reform them and dry them and stuff. And a lot of them look real messed up because they've been wet and dried so much throughout their life. But a lot of them are basically meant to kind of stop your head from bumping into tree branches and stuff. So this is actually, because it's a rigid felt, you can hit it pretty hard and it'll bounce something off your head without it cracking your coconut. So it did its job pretty well, actually, for what it was designed to do. Keep your head dry, keep the sun out of your eyes, and protect a tree branch from whipping you in the face. That was the pinnacle of head protection like 100 years ago. So, and then America, obviously entering World War I, would adopt the British design, the Brodie, which this isn't. The shell is. Okay, the liner is different. And initially it would be just the same 2-point chin strap. It would have a oilcloth liner, which is like a rubber impregnated canvas liner with a wool pad at the top, and it would be all one piece. And the problem with that was the helmet would, if anything would break on it or wear out, you would have to junk the whole helmet and get an entire new helmet. America didn't like that because it cost money. So they took those liners out and they put these ones in there, which just screw on and off with one little screw. That's the only thing holding this whole helmet together is one little screw at the top. And they would use this from about the 30s until 1944 in training, where it would be replaced by the famous World War II M1. But what do you think about this and the shape of it?
It's a little bit heavier than I thought it would be.
For sure. It's made out of manganese steel. And then if you try it on, so the front chin strap's on the front, you'll notice it does not offer a lot of side protection. And stuff like that, and that is because of what you were, how warfare evolved at the time. They always say that a military is evolving to fight the last war. So this helmet was meant to be where your side protection for your head and your face and everything comes from is a trench, a hole you're standing in.
Sure.
So this is meant to keep stuff, and that's why it's so wide and so flat, because it's meant to keep, artillery would throw up dirt and rocks and fence posts and body parts, and then all of that would rain down on you.
Ugh.
And that's designed to keep dirt clods and stuff from killing you. And it was actually, there's a funny story about it, because the British and the French were the first to adopt like steel helmets as like standard protection, and their casualties went through the roof when they adopted helmets. Okay, so like they're injured casualties, all right, because a casualty is different than being dead. Okay, their casualties went through the roof, all right, and everyone was in an uproar about why are our casualties so high. We just gave them this new like state-of-the-art head protection. It's because those guys were now living rather than dying.
Yeah, so deaths were down.
Yeah, so but it's lovingly referred to as the tin hat.
Yeah.
By a lot of people, because that's what it is. It looks like a pie dish or something like that, you know, very similar in shape to a pie dish is what a lot of guys thought. It worked pretty well for what it was designed for. It did stay in service a little bit too long. In one form or another, this helmet would stay in use until the 60s. Yeah, I know, right?
Yikes.
But it would eventually be replaced in 1942 by the iconic M1 helmet.
Ooh.
Now, this is actually a paratrooper variant, and it's a later one. It's from the 70s, actually. It is a one-size-fits-all suspension-style liner. It is a two-piece design. It is one of the first helmets to be a two-piece design. So the liner just sits into the shell and is held in place by the chin strap. And so if the liner broke, you could just get a new liner. Or if you didn't need to be wearing the full-on steel protection, like let's say you're an MP or a traffic controller or something, you could just wear the liner and it would still give you that bump protection from like tree branches and stuff. But you don't need the steel heavy part for shrapnel and for advanced combat and stuff. So, and it's that's the M1 helmet, which the U.S. named everything M1. So you can't just say M1, because there's like 45,000 different M1s. And this one is a noticeable improvement, as you can see, for side protection. And they would use that up until basically the 80s, the mid-80s. That would be the standard from World War II until the mid-80s. So, steel, crest, that's all it is. Starts as a big disc, stamp it out, and then they throw a liner in it. The first liners were basically paper mache, and they disintegrated when they got wet. And then they would switch to high-pressure liners, which are plastic and canvas, essentially. And that's what it would be for most of its life. So that would be the, what would be a World War II one? This is obviously the same helmet. Vietnam, though.
Ooh, this one's heavier. This one was really light.
They're the same weight.
Really?
They are. They're
It
the
feels
exact same helmet, actually. So. They're the exact same helmet. There shouldn't be too much difference in weight. They're all one size fits most.
Yeah.
This one does have a World War II liner. This one has a later liner, so you could see what the liners would differently be. That one's special because it's made by the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company. And actually, way at the top, in a tiny little stamp, if you get the light on it just right in the crown of the helmet, if you look down in there, they won't see it on camera, but you can see the little F in the shield that Firestone still uses as their logo today. So they were made by tons of different companies, paper companies and stuff like that. So because they were essentially paper and resin. There you go.
It's crunchy.
It's pretty crunchy.
I can hear it crunchy.
Yep, they do rattle, they do move. It's just canvas, and that's how it would be.
Yeah.
And so they would stay the same for 50 years essentially. Liners would change.
Yeah.
To be usable, but basically the same steel. The steel part of the helmet never really changed. For the most part, you would see bales that would start to swivel. At first, they were just welded in place, but most part, same exact helmet. Or once again, probably way too long. But America. This is back when America cared about not spending money. So, and then they would go to, in 1983, it'd be replaced by this beast.
Ooh.
This is the PASGAT, which stands for Personal Armor System Ground Troops. And this one, again, has a bunch of other stuff in it. So its normal chin strap would be just this thing right here. That's it. Just your two-piece chin strap, and it's held in place with a snap up here by your ear. That's how you would put it on. And later, after paratroopers' helmets kept falling off, they would adopt this three-point style chin strap. As you can see, it's pretty much the same liner that the M1 would have, but now you're just putting it into a much heavier Kevlar shell. And eventually goes back to that German World War I Stahlhelm shape. Very heavy, as you'll see. That's actually one of the heaviest U.S. helmets ever fielded.
Wow.
A large weighs over 5 pounds. Yeah. And they blocked your vision a lot. They moved around a lot. This helmet wasn't very stable. It had a lot of problems in its life. But it offered a lot of protection. A lot of protection. It would actually offer so much protection that when the Army started to go to the ACH, the Marines liked that shape so much that they kept the same shape, but made the helmet a little lighter. And gave it a different chin strap and everything. So that's the first gen. The second gen lightweight helmet, that's what that's called, would have pads just like the ACH. Of course, it's the Marines. They have to put the EGA and everything.
Yep.
You know how that works. They have to put their... But this one's going to be much more comfortable and everything like that. Much more stable. Went from a 2-point chin strap to a 4-point chin strap. And as you can see, the fancy Marine Corps cover on it. And all that other good jazz, which is actually green. Unlike the gray bullshit that the Army came out with. But it's still a fairly heavy helmet. It is lighter than this, ever so slightly, only a few ounces, but... Ounces add up when you're giving a ton of gear, especially when you're wearing that all day, or you have to wear that all day. A few ounces makes a huge difference. So the Marine Corps and the Navy would be using this, where the Army and the Air Force would be using the ACH. And then very recently, actually, it would have been in 2013, when it all would officially happen. This is the current frontline issue helmet. It's called the ECH. Which is the Enhanced Combat Helmet. It is fully integratable with the ACH. It's supposed to be very familiar to soldiers, so you don't have to retrain them to use that or anything like this. But this one is not made out of Kevlar. It's made out of ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene fibers. It's basically made out of milk jugs. So plastic milk jugs that they melted down into really fine fibers and put all together. So this is just like carbon fiber on the outside. That's not what the actual weave is. The weave is just a bunch of random directional, very small white fibers. So that's what the U.S. military currently fields. All Marines and Army personnel and everybody that's going to see frontline combat will be issued one of those before they go overseas since 2014. So currently that is the state-of-the-art helmet design, and it is actually the first U.S. helmet designed to defeat rifle rounds. So an AK round will go right through an ACH, almost like you weren't wearing it. You might as well not. It won't go through one of those at least at a reasonable distance, 100 yards. We shot one, me and Mike shot one of those at 100 yards with an SKS, and the guy probably could have walked away from it. And we shot him with a 308, which you know how powerful a 308 is, at 100 yards. And that guy probably would have had a fractured skull, but he would have lived. That is a ludicrously powerful round on the battlefield right now, 308 is, and
Right.
that helmet will stop one.
That's what I deer hunt with. It
Yeah.
will obliterate a deer.
But so what do you think, knowing that's what's going to possibly be
Good.
protecting you if anything ever happens? So
That would be nice. I like it a
so
lot better.
chin strap
I think,
is
actually.
a little bit more. This one has the big nape protector pad to protect the spinal column.
Right.
But it's supposed to be exactly the same as the ACH. You got learned on the ACH, so it should be very familiar to you as far as how it operates and everything like that. It is a little bit thicker. It is slightly heavier than an ACH would be, but it is basically twice the protection. So they're made by 3M. Yep. So they're made right here in Minnesota by 3M. So what do you think? What do you think's your favorite out of all of them so far? Now that you got to compare the
Right.
ACH, the one you don't like,
Right.
to everything else, which one do you think was your favorite?
I mean, maybe I'm a little biased. I like this one a lot.
The
I like that
ECH?
it's going to,
Have all the same problems as the ACH and be heavier?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Also, it'll stop a bullet from going through my head.
That's fair. That's usually a pretty good thing to have.
It's a
So,
pretty good, yeah. I mean,
That's the all of American helmet history
all of
for the
them.
most part, yeah.
they're all
So,
pretty terrible
I mean,
in their own ways.
fair, but for what they were designed for, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got your World War I helmet, and then you got World War II through Vietnam is all the same helmet. And then in the modern day, you start seeing, Grenada and Desert Storm and first invasion of Iraq, and then get into what we basically still use today after that. So start 2006 to 2012 is when you start seeing what we have today. Now that PASGAT helmet, this is what most countries are wearing. Most of our ally countries, most everybody is wearing a PASGAT. This is kind of the standard go-to still. So for basically every NATO country, and this is a standard United Nations helmet as well. So do you like the fact that you have something better than what most other armies are fielding
Oh, yeah, that's great.
than this? So now that you know that you have a much more fond appreciation for the ACH now, don't you? At first you're like, it's terrible, but now it's like, it's not so bad actually, right? And just wait till you see some of the other countries' helmets if you want to stop by for another video at some point. So overall, you think the ECH is the best one, right?
It's what I would want to wear.
I don't know about you. I'm not wearing a helmet when stuff goes down. It's a waste of my time.
Yeah.
Somebody's
I might
going to
have
shoot
to.
me. Somebody's going to shoot me.
Yeah.
So why bother carrying the extra weight? Get one of these out and call her good. So, yeah. But because, most of what a helmet's going to have to stop anyways, even if you are in a war zone, chances of your helmet getting hit by something and not wrecking some other part of you
That's
is
fair.
very slim to none anyways. It's basically most of what a helmet is protecting you for on the modern battlefield is bumping your noggin. That's about it. So, do you think that's qualified to do that? Because that hat is qualified to do that. You know what I mean? So really either or. I think anyways. I think it's a toss-up because if I'm gonna get shot, it's gonna get shot. I might as well wear that. If the percentage of me getting hit in the helmet is so small, I'd rather wear that.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's just what I think, but I've got a jillion helmets, as you know, so I've had a lot of time to try on and experience a vast majority of them. So well, we'll wrap up the video here. So thank you. So this is Paige, by the way, stopping by to check out some helmets. I hope you learned something, right?
Always.
All that other good stuff. So hopefully this video will get up in time for you guys to see it here Sunday morning. So thank you all for stopping by. If you want to donate to the Patreon so we can keep buying neat stuff and standing in the heat of these lamps, which you can probably tell is very warm and stuff like that, to make it more tolerable for us to do videos and get together and do more stuff like this, I'll leave a link to the Patreon in the description. You can get into the Discord for as little as $1 a month, which is really cheap compared to almost every other YouTuber. So, all right. Thank you all for stopping by, and hopefully we'll see you all here in the next video. Bye-bye now.